Hey folks, and welcome to the Warhammer Preview. My name's Nick, this is Alex, and we're going to be your guides through the next hour or so of wonderful new stuff to look at. Now, the Las Vegas Open is taking place in Nevada right now as we speak. If you're there at the event, we hope you're having a wonderful time. But Alex, we've got some seriously good stuff to look at, right?
We do indeed. We've got stuff from Warhammer Age of Sigmar, Warhammer 40,000, Necromunda, and the Old World. But that's enough from us. We've got a reveal now that I am incredibly excited for. Ooh, that is a beautiful box for the Soulblight Gravelords.
It really is.
So this is the Death Rattle Army set. And as you can see, it is skeleton heavy.
It is. I bet you're a happy chappy right now.
I am very
Inside
happy.
the box, we've got the brand new White Lord and or King on the skeletal steed leading the force there. Lots of the new Barrow Guard and the new Barrow Knights as well. There's 20 Barrow Guard and 5 Barrow Knights in the box. Of course, this box contains the Battle Tome, the War Scroll cards, what you've come to expect. It's really so cool, this box, isn't it? Tell me about it, man. What's your favourite part of this?
I think it's going to have to be that White King.
He's so cool. We'll come to him in a second. But first of all, who are the Barrow Guard?
Right. So the Barrow Guard, these guys are basically the White King or the White Lord's bodyguard, and they're slain at the time of his death, knowingly or not, willingly or not. They're then interred with him, and so when the curse strikes and he's risen, they come with him.
These are a fantastic set of miniatures. There's 10 models per kit. You get 20 of them in the Death Rattle Army set, and you can make the banner, the champion, the musician as you normally can. Now, if you already play Soulblight Gravelords and you have Grave Guard in your force, then this unit, the Barrow Guard, are simply a replacement inside the book for that unit. So you can use your Grave Guard models as these if you'd like to. These ones can be armed with both a sword and a shield, or you can see some at the back there with a big double-handed axe as well. They're really cool, these guys. Super armoured skeletons. The elite skeletons is if such a thing is possible. And in-game, they can deliver crit mortal wounds with their weapons and protect nearby heroes as well. So elite bodyguards for heroes. They're pretty cool, right?
Indeed. And thinking of elite Death Rattle units, we've also got the Barrow Knights. So these guys are basically the nobles of the Barrow Kingdoms. They were buried alongside their horses, so when they've risen, they've taken them back. They've retained a little bit more of their sentience than the average Death Rattle, so they've got some of the little quirks from life. So after battle, they have a habit of grabbing banners and trinkets from the battlefield as trophies.
I like these. Basically, skeletons with a bit of a personality, essentially. Yeah. I like that a lot. This, again, box set has 5 models in the box. They make a champion musician and standard in there as well. And again, if you've got Black Knights in your force already, these are a sort of almost replacement for those. So you can use your Black Knights as these, or use these new models if you'd like to as well. Heavily armoured cavalry that can protect a local cavalry hero as well, which is pretty cool. And they've got a rule called Cursed to Rise, where you can just bring models back to the unit with no dice rolls required, which is really cool. So these guys just don't die. Again, I guess. But who we got leading the force?
Indeed. So this is the centerpiece model from that Death Rattle box. This is the White King. So these guys were the rulers of the Barrow Kingdoms, and when they're buried, it tended to be in opulence. They might have a sarcophagus of gold or on a great bone chair, that kind of thing, buried alongside their bodyguards. They were grim, very warlike sort of kingdoms. So these guys have an awful lot of will. So it takes a very powerful vampire to kind of take control of them. And as we'll talk about in a bit when we look at the battle tome, you can now field entire armies of death rattle skeletons led by these guys.
It's so cool. The king, of course, there is one of the two options. It can also make the White Lord as well, sort of maybe a lesser rank of a skeleton hero. On the tabletop, the king is a little bit more powerful and can bestow ancient barrow curses upon your enemies, which is terrifying, whereas the Lord is more of a leader for your cavalry, so he bestows a few benefits onto cavalry units in your army. So if you wanted to have a whole army of cavalry, this is the guy you want leading it if you wanted it.
Now, these aren't the only leaders coming for the Soulblight Gravelords, are they? Here we are, Prince Vordry, Master of the Crimson Keep. Now, Prince Vordry is back from the Age of Myth. He's not been Nagash's favourite the whole time. He was, after a rebellion, he was cursed to basically be bound to the Crimson Keep, which was torn out of time and space, and so it appears randomly across the realms. However, as you'll find out in the Battle Tome, it has been appearing in places Nagash didn't necessarily want it. So there's definitely something going on here. Now, this model is absolutely spectacular.
It's huge as well. It's on a 160 mil base, which is monstrous. It's so much bigger than the previous incarnation of the model.
Yep.
It was so cool to see, and what a centerpiece model it is as well.
Oh, yes.
That lance is almost as tall as the Revenant Draconith he sits upon, named Shordmare. Am I right?
It is. So Shordmare was the first Draconith to sort of dabble in necromancy, attempted to raise a load of other Draconith. Didn't go particularly well, all kind of backfired, and he ended up undead himself.
Just a beautiful, beautiful model. And of course, the model being a bit bigger means on the tabletop, he's got a little bit tougher. His health's gone up to 18, which makes him even harder to kill than he previously was, but just an incredible centerpiece for your Soulblight collection. But that's not the only model that comes in that kit. If you wanted to, you could also build this, the Revenant Draconith, which is essentially a huge sort of zombified dragon, but without a rider on the back.
Yes, indeed. So these are fairly rare. Whilst Nagash and Shordmare did attempt to raise a number of them, Krondys and Karazai did not take well to that and hunted them down. And so if you're a vampire lord in need of something incredibly hard-hitting, and you go in search of one of these, you best bring a lot of meat, and a lot of willpower to kind of control them. But there's an element whenever they roar, apparently, that is almost lonesome. Like there's a memory of who they used to be locked in there.
That's really cool. I like that a lot. There's on the tabletop, these can fly high. Warhammer players from yesteryear might remember flying high, and this Revenant Draconith can do that off the battlefield and then come down later on, striking down if it wants to, and can keep doing that throughout the game, which is really cool. It's a terrifying thing to face, and we'll come on to the book later on. But I wanted to point out that one of the regiments in the one of the regiments of renown in the Battle Tome is called the Beast of Castle Stenesti, which allows you to take a Revenant Draconith in any death army. So you want one of these in your Ossiarch or your Nighthaunt force, or your Flesh Eaters, you go for it. It's a really cool thing that all death players can have a go at. It's really, really cool. Right, well, we mentioned the Battle Tome. Let's have a look at that. What can we expect from the Battle Tome, Alex?
So the Battle Tome is, as we can see from that box set at the start, is highly focused on the Barrow Kingdoms and the Death Rattle Skeletons. And as I said before, it allows you to field an entire army just of skeletons. However, that's not all that's in it.
That's your main focus.
Well, I love skeletons. But yes, so we've got all the background, all the lore, all the armies, as you said, the regiments of renown. One of my favourite parts of it is that it continues the lore of the vampires and how the Soulblight have kind of reacted to the Hour of Ruin, which they refer to as the Time of Blood. So, sorry, the Time of Vile Blood, probably because of all Skaven. Not that tasty.
Fair enough. As normal, and in the Battle Tome, we've come to expect so everything from battle formations, trait enhancements, spell laws, everything you might expect to see. What's really exciting is that for the first time in a long time, we've got new faction terrain and manifestations for the Soulblight Gravelords. But we're not going to show those quite yet. You have to watch out for those in the near future. There are 4 new battle formations in the book, including my favourites, the Death Stench Drove, which is all about having a horde of zombies go across the table. The Path to Glory lets you follow the path of either a vampire or a non-vampire hero. And there's 2 armies, of renown in there, the Knights of the Crimson Keep and the Barrow Legion, your favourite one.
Yep.
All about the skeletons, which is cool. And the 2 regiments of renown, which lets you take that Revenant Draconith, and one which, again, we're going to keep secret for now. There's more coming on that later on. But yeah, absolutely fantastic book, as always, from the studio.
And also in the battle tome is the new spearhead, the Death Rattle Tomb Host, focusing on those Death Rattle skeletons once more. Now, this isn't a replacement for the Bloodcrave Hunt, which is still legal. It just means you're getting an extra spearhead.
So you're going to get to paint a second spearhead for your force, this time a real skeleton crew, right?
That's implying that I've only got one spearhead so far.
Well, that's the big game. We've got the new spearhead on the way. It's not going to be coming alongside the release. It's going to be a little bit later, so you may have to raise them from dead a little bit after the release. But we've also got a novel from Black Library coming as well, haven't we?
We do indeed. This is the Masters of Death Omnibus by David Annandale, and it brings together a number of his stories: Neferata, Mortarch of Blood, Neferata, Dominion of Bones, Dynasty of Monsters, a Soulblight Gravelords novel, as well as 3 shorts: The Threshold, Obsidian, The Dance with Skulls. So this is basically your gateway into the background and the narrative of the Soulblight.
So, Alex, speaking of Black Library, it's time to talk a little bit about this year's Black Library celebration. Now, normally we spend a day celebrating Black Library. Yeah. This year, we're going to go a little bit further, a bit more time perhaps, and we're actually releasing some really cool models alongside the Black Library celebration and the books that are coming this time as well. First of all, let's have a look at Malaneth Witchblade. What a superb model that is. Ooh. Alex, who is Malaneth? And where she come from?
So Malaneth was one of the daughters of Cain. She was trained as an assassin. She ended up working for the Order of Azir, and as part of that, ended up accompanying Gotrek on a number of his adventures. Now, they didn't get along great. Malaneth attempted to poison him, but seeing as Gotrek is still roaming the mortal realms, that did not work out. So despite not being particularly friendly, she did come to sort of have a great respect for him, and sort of almost the hope he brought to the mortal realms. And this is coming alongside the Shade of Cain by Evan Dickin, and we showed that off in the last preview.
It's such a beautiful miniature. It really, really is. On the tabletop, it's actually going to be getting its own Legends war scroll to use in the game as well, if you'd like to use that model. She excels in hiding inside units and leaping out. Again, Elven Assassin fans from yesteryear might recognise that as things happened before. She's got sort of poison throwing dart she throws at people as well. And what a great model as well if you want to use an alternative, maybe as a High Gladiatrix in your Daughters of Cain army. And you need to make sure you're visiting Warhammer stores during the Black Library celebration, because there'll be some exclusive scenarios to play with her on the tabletop too.
Very cool.
Which will be very cool. So that's Malaneth Witchblade coming soon. But also for the Black Library celebration, we have this. This is Hell's Last, a new command squad starring Minka Lesk and her command squad. Alex, who is Minka Lesk?
So Minka Lesk is one of the few survivors of Cadia. She managed to escape. And as a White Shield, she then became a guardsman. So the White Shield is sort of the planetary defense forces of Cadia. And she's risen all the way to captain. And this is coming out at the same time as the novel of the same name, Hell's Last.
Yeah, we've seen that's coming from Justin D. Hill. We've seen Minka Lesk in other books before. It's the last White Shield Omnibus is available as well from Black Library. Do check that out. On the field, she's also getting her own Legends data card to use in game as well, should you want to. But it's also a great collector's box set to just paint up. And if you wanted to use alternative miniatures, I mean, Lesk would make a great sort of alternative Castellan for your Astra Militarum force. I mean, that's Commissar Shand. That would make a great alternative Commissar for your force if you wanted to as well. So just a really beautiful box of miniatures to get painting on.
Now, going from the 41st millennium, we're going old to the old world. So the High Elf realms return to the old world, and we're starting off with that wonderful battalion box like we've seen for other releases. It is jam-packed full of troops. We've got 32 spearmen, 32 archers, and those 2 Tyrannok chariots. Now, they can be built in an alternate way, can't they?
You're right. The Tyrannok chariot is the one that's pulled by the horses. At the front is the one that's pulled by lions, is the White Lion chariot of Shrace as well. A bit more brutal option. But yeah, the High Elves are a beloved faction in the old world, and it's great to see them coming back. They are as elite as it gets when it comes to forces like this. So all their models are just better than yours, basically. And the elves like telling you about it as well. This battalion force is a great way to start an army. It's not just the only thing that's coming alongside the High Elf Realms release, though. There's loads of other plastic models coming too. What have we got, Mum?
We've got the Lord on Dragon. These are the White Lions of Trace. We've got the Swordmasters of Hoeth, the Illyrian Reavers, Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers, because why use gunpowder when this is so reliable?
Well, those are a few of our favourites, right? But there is loads more, and I'm sure you'll see some pictures on the Warhammer community website if you want to go and check those out. But basically, if it was in plastic before, you can pretty much get hold of it now. So High Elf fans are going to be really happy about that. Now, Alex, there's loads of miniatures people will recognise from yesteryear, of course, but there are some new models coming alongside the release too, right?
There are indeed. The first is a Shire Vest, the Sentinel of the Silent Isle. This is basically one of the Sea Lord's most capable and long-serving warriors. She's been trusted with the coastal garrison of the Silent Isle, and she's ascended through the ranks through years of dedicated service. You imagine the elves are quite the meritocracy, and she spent most of her recent years hunting for Norscan raiders because they've been a lot more active.
Oh, that's really cool. I like the fact she's carrying a trident called Matlan's Ire, which is great. She's irritated with you and she's going to stab you with a trident. It's great. We've also got the Lord of Shrace, right?
We do indeed. So Shrace is a land of mountains and forest, and since the invasion of Chaos has basically been plagued by horrible beasts. And so basically part of their ritual is you need to go out and hunt one of the White Lions, and you're not deemed to be a true warrior of Trace without having captured and killed one of these lions, and they tend to bring back the pelts. So if you're a lord from Trace, you're going to have one of these.
And a giant axe as well.
Oh, yes.
You've got to have one of those too. Now, let's have a quick chat about the Arcane Journal, because those 2 characters are quite relevant to the book that's coming alongside it. This is, as other players will know, an in-depth look at the history of the High Elves and the stories of their forces, and full rules on how to use their armies outside of the forces of fantasy they will all have in that book, right?
Indeed.
What more can we tell about the background that's in the book here?
This book, as we've seen from past releases, the elves tend to focus on Ulthuan. However, this Arcane Journal focuses more on their last few holdings in the old world, a lot of their seaborne forces. So Shire Vest has got her own sort of army formation in this, and we think of like elite expeditionary forces. There's some stories from Corhill Lionmane and the White Lions of Trace as they venture into Bretonia to basically hunt down some beastmen. Without permission. There's a little bit of diplomatic tomfoolery going on in there, but it's a wonderful read.
The 2 armies of infamy you have mentioned there. The first one is the Seaguard Garrison. This is an all-Lothan army and includes a Shire Vest there, of course, and not to mention lots of different ways to build your models and different ways to represent things like ship's company or that sort of thing. And the other army is the Trace War Host. That's the one that led by the Corhill Lionmane, who is on the way, but we're not going to show him quite yet. And also the model we just saw as well, which represents a High Elf noble with the Shrace Hunter's Honour, which is quite cool. That's why he carries his big axe, which is nice. Also inside the book you can find historical scenarios, a refight of the Battle of Chalons as Corhill leads his forces against the Beastmen, and brand new units are in that book. Some which will have models which we haven't seen yet, but also quite a lot which show you how to sort of construct your plastic models in a different way. Actually, the book tells you how to convert models into things like Shracian huntsman or woodsman or ship's company, that sort of thing. It's a really cool sort of like a conversion guide in there. It's really, really great. So there we go. Hey, talking of cool armies.
Yes.
Talking of cool armies. Armies on Parade. It's that time to start talking about Armies on Parade again this year.
Already?
And it is indeed. We are happy to announce that Armies on Parade is coming back again for 2025.
This is the 15th year of Armies Parade.
15th year. I actually entered its first ever year. That's made me feel really old. That's when I made my first Ultramarines. So it's great to have Armies on Parade back again. Of course, this is the Games Workshop's premium army painting competition.
Indeed.
So if you want to take part in that, it's happening. It's a great deadline to get forces. You've taken part as well.
Oh, yes.
Before. Yeah.
Probably the last 5 years I've made sure to do something.
We've got the new categories coming this year. We've sort of made the categories a bit simpler to make sure people can understand what they're going to be. You can enter as a solo entrant. Paint an army yourself. basically. Young bloods for our younger hobbyists. And this time we've got a team category as well, so you can enter as a team. Maybe want to get all of us Warhammer Plus guys together and paint one together. Maybe we could do that. You never know.
That's a challenge.
Cool. That's a challenge. But yes, we've got Armies on Parade happening this year. Dates and the exact timings of what's going to happen this year and when you need to get stuff painted by will be coming on the Warhammer community website. So check that out as soon as you possibly can. I'm thinking I'm going to win some Ultramarines this year. This is going to be my year. I reckon I'm going to go for it.
Ultramarine?
I think I'll go for a bit of a change. But right, we've got something else to show you now.
So we've arrived in Necromunda and we've been greeted by the Shadar Hunters.
These are great. More models for the Ash Waste Nomads, right?
Mm-hmm. So these guys are basically the masters of navigating the wastes and living there. They're scouts, trackers, hunters, that sort of thing. They're very much in touch with sort of the beasts of the wastelands as well. So you can see that all of their weapons tend to be like Helamite claws that have been strapped on, that sort of thing. They're very sort of old school and in touch with the wastes themselves.
I love the sort of like weird mystical tribalism of this. It's so cool, these models. These are elite gang fighters for Ash Waste Nomads gangs. They've got a really cool ability called Wasteland Ambushes. If you're playing a game in the Wastelands, kind of like a trapdoor spider, they just wait in like in a burrow and just ambush out halfway through the game, which is quite good fun. They're completely combat focused. They don't even have access to pistols on their equipment list, which is so just all about combat. And they're just wonderful, wonderful miniatures. You can take a few of those in your gang if you'd like to, as gang fighters. Yeah, absolutely wonderful things to paint as well. It's really nice to see the Ash Waste Nomads being fleshed out like this. Yes. But Alex, they're being accompanied by these weird little Athramite spine worms. Yes. What are these?
So these things are only really seen by outsiders accompanying the nomads. So they've adapted really well to survive in Necromunda's toxic environment, and they're incredible burrowers. So they'll go through sand, ash, rock, flesh, and they're basically their barbed fangs, once they dig into something, are nigh impossible to get rid of. And their saliva contains an anticoagulant, so once they've bit down, that blood's going to keep flowing.
Ugh, these things are horrible. They are sort of essentially pets that you can take as equipment for your Shadar Hunters. Each fighter can have up to 2 of them. If you really want to take that many, you ought to. They have the burrowing thing you talked about. They can burrow in the game as well. They can just burrow through impassable terrain like it wasn't even there, just gnashing their way through walls, which is really, really cool. So wonderful little models there as well. But also coming alongside these is the Nomad weapon upgrades. Okay, indeed. We've got a lot of guns and a lot of stuff in here. What have we got, man?
Very rusty. You can see a lot of blast carbines, heavy blasters, web pistols, web guns, notably scavenged autogun, because they don't obviously have manufacturing facilities of their own.
These are basically completing all the weapon options for your Ash Waste Nomads gang. So there's weapons in there that you may not have been able to get hold of before. Now you can. This is your complete equipment list, but it also contains things like extra heads, shoulder pads, sky mantles. So it's not just weapons, it's basically a conversion box for your and a customization box for your Ash Waste Nomad gang. You want to get hold of this if you possibly can. But all of this, of course, is coming alongside the Tribes of the Wastelands book.
It is indeed. So this is basically your house book for your Ash Waste Nomads. However, it's not told from their point of view. So nobody's really spoken to the Nomads before. So this is told by an outsider, basically describing things. So all the terms we have for the Nomads are, well, they come from people who aren't the Nomads themselves. And it talks about the 3 sort of sub-factions, sort of like the Yellow Nomads, etc. And it details a lot of the beasts, the Helamites, but it also describes their electrostatic weaponry, because they tend to avoid machines, because this is a really good way to stop any machine. So why would you not ride on various beasts?
Oh, also, they're trying to hunt down those beasts and stop them, and shocking them with static means they fall over and can capture them to ride on them, which is perfect. Inside the book, you can find lots of rules. The great tribes you mentioned there have been expanded upon. The nomads get their very own trading post as well, which is great. Lots of strange and exotic items on there. There's 2 themed scenarios for people to play, as well as hired guns, hangers-on, dramatis personae, everything you'd expect from a house book right here for the Ash Waste Nomads. So if you're a Nomads player, you want to get your cowled hands on these.
Oh, yes. But that's not all that's coming for Necromunda.
Okay.
There are also some terrain kits.
Nice.
This is the Thatos pattern fortified hab module. This is basically a really nice armoured, I'd say a little safe zone out in the wastes. You can see there it's got those turrets on top. Now, it doesn't come with any rules for those, do they?
No, it's got some grenade launchers and heavy stubbers. They're mounted on the sides, and players can sort of decide how they want to use those if they want to. You can upgrade them to have those if you really want, but there's every chance that those might fall into the hands of the enemy, so maybe not worth spending the creds on them there. But it's just a really cool upgraded version of the Thatos Panon hab model we've seen before. To have those extra bits on top of it is a really nice addition to your collection to sort of make your Outland hub settlement look a little bit, well, you say safe. It's still the Ash Wastes, right?
Oh, yes.
That's not all the terrain we've got coming. There's also the Zone Mortalis ruins, the ruined Underhive sector here as well. This is essentially 3 sets of the existing ruined Zone Mortalis terrain sets come together into one box, bundled together to make it really easy to purchase. And how many do you reckon you're going to get?
Ooh, at least one, because I think just with one set you can get a nice Necromunda board.
Yeah.
But if you got 2 sets, you'd have multiple layers. And
it's like the dream board, isn't it? And imagine, I mean, Warhammer 40,000 players as well. Imagine playing a game of Warhammer 40,000 on this as well would be great.
Actions.
So those are coming soon. There we go.
Right, so looking a bit further into the future. We've got Kill Team, which is going to be continuing to get boxes throughout the year. Underworlds, as we saw, got a brand new edition. We showed off a little roadmap a few months ago. That's going to continue to get releases going forward. Middle-earth, of course, has just got a brand new release. The Horus Heresy. Now, Heresy Thursdays are back.
They're back.
Keep an eye on Warhammer Community for more information. There's models, there's information coming up. It's brilliant. Black Library Celebration, as we've said, is coming up in February. Warcom is going to have news for all of those, but the Old World. Now, we've seen a whole host of stuff come out for the Old World, and we've just shown off the High Elf realms. And if you've been keeping track, based on what we showed off, there are 2 more factions to come.
Yeah.
The Beastman Brayherds and the Wood Elf realms.
So we can confirm they are on the way.
Yes.
They are in the near to soon future for Old World players. And there may be other stuff coming as well, which we won't know about. So see if you hint there.
Outside of the tabletop, we also have something to reveal for Space Marine 2. So last year we saw Space Marine 2 come out, and we've all had an immense amount of fun playing it. I've been playing it to death,
man. I'm like level 22 on PvP right now. I love this game so much.
There are over 5 million players,
wow,
which of course means that Focus and Saber have all the more reason to continue to keep developing the game. We've seen new weapons, enemies, maps, skins, and now there's going to be another PvP game mode, new PvE maps, and more cosmetics for various chapters.
It's fantastic.
And we can reveal that the next enemy that you're going to get to destroy is the Tyrannid Biovore.
Oh, good. Like, I can't wait to hit that thing with a chainsaw and execute it and get my health back. It's such a wonderful game to play, and I know folks watching it will have played it a lot. And Biovore's coming soon, as well as all of that cool extra stuff. It's going to be a good year for Space Marine 2 players. It really is.
But it is also a good year for Warhammer Age of Sigmar.
Okay.
So, we showed off on the last preview Auric War Clans and Gloomspite Gits. This time we've shown off the Soulblight Gravelords and the Path to Glory book for narrative players. However, there's some more stuff coming. We've got the Ideneth Deepkin and the Night Haunt coming, fairly soon.
They're notoriously very fast moving, so hopefully they'll be here quite soon, both of those forces. But that's not all as well, because a bit further on the horizon, well, we're not going to tell you what's coming. We're just going to show you some cryptic pictures, and hopefully you can work out what's going on there. I've got a good idea about 2 out of the 3 of them. What about you? You reckon?
Maybe 3.
Maybe 3. All right.
I think plenty of people at home will be able to figure out what these are, given a bit of time.
Yeah, absolutely. If you've got a good idea what you think those are going to be, just fire it in the comments down below. We want to see what you think. And of course, even further out, we're going to be even more cryptic. No idea what that could be, but we want to hear your guesses for sure.
It's a silhouette.
It's definitely a thing. Let us know what you think that's going to be. But there's more for Warhammer 40,000 coming too, right?
Indeed. So, as we said before, last time we showed off the Eldari and the Deathcore of Krieg, and at Christmas we revealed Fulgrim.
Now, Fulgrim, of course, is not just a great model in himself, but is also the herald of the Emperor's Children coming. We've been teasing you guys for a long time. The Emperor's Children are on the horizon very, very shortly. What's coming after those guys?
Yes, a little bit further out, we've got the World Eaters, the Death Guard, and the Thousand Sons. However, just a little bit further in the future, we also have, again,
more stuff.
4 more cryptic releases.
Yeah, okay, I've got a pretty good idea of at least 2 of those. There we go. That's what's coming on the horizon. And again, there's something even further out. I have no idea what that could be.
I think it's a lictor.
It could be 2 Votan warriors stood on each other's heads.
Yes.
We don't know. It could be. Again, let us know what you think it could be, but that's what's coming in the future. Now, Alex, we just talked about the Emperor's Children there.
Yes.
We didn't say Fulgrim, we said the Emperor's Children. And we've been teasing you guys out there for an awful long time. I think it's time to have a look.
Yes, indeed.
Here we go. Okay, they're here. It's finally time to talk about the Emperor's Children. You guys have been waiting. Let's go for it. Now, at Christmas, we showed off Fulgrim, the demon Primarch of the Emperor's Children, of course. What a Christmas gift that was for all of us. Alex, for those not in the know, who is Fulgrim? Why they're important?
So Fulgrim was the demon Primarch of the Emperor's Children, and basically where he once pursued sort of perfection and mastery, he's now become the embodiment of obsession. He shed his mortal form and has basically become this demonic entity. He's spent most of his time both in the warp and in real space desperately trying to seek out new sensations and experiences, occasionally returning to wreak havoc, not to mention some Primarch in blue.
We're not going to talk about that. It doesn't appear in the Ultramarine records. It's just the most stunning miniature. I've seen it up close as well. It's just beautiful and huge, and just what a centerpiece that's going to be for a table. And long awaited return for Fulgrim to the 41st millennium. On the gaming table, as you can imagine, Fulgrim is an absolute monster and will cut down swathes of enemies with their malefic lash, demonic blades, and serpentine tail, just causing havoc. They can issue demonic poisons on the battlefield. I'm told that they once poisoned my Primarch at some point. We won't talk about maybe on the battle. You can do that too, and you can choose demonic powers each battle round, much like other Primarchs can do as well. And one of those is that they can always fight first, which is just incredible.
Yes.
As a heads up, my colleague Simon and I from Battle Report had a one-on-one Fulgrim versus Angron just before Christmas, and Fulgrim won all 3. Ooh. I mean, it was just great. So there we go, Fulgrim on the way. Monstrous on the table and long awaited. You've got to get your paintbrush on that one. But let's talk about the army set we've seen as well. And this is the Children of Slesh army set, which includes brand new miniatures. Packed to the gills, brand new miniatures. The first up is the Lord Exultant there, the new Lord choice. I'll come to that in a second. You've got a unit of Tormentors, who are this sort of battle line unit. The Infractors, who are the combat unit. And of course, the Noise Marines are back as well with their huge sonic weaponry, as well as the codex is in there too. Right, let's break this down. Okay, we'll start off then with the Lord Exultant, who is the new Lord choice for the Emperor's Children. Who is a Lord Exultant, and why do they have the coolest cloak going in the 41st millennium?
So these guys basically embody everything that the Emperor's Children are. They are desperately seeking more experiences, sensation in all its forms. They've had loads of various surgeries and stims to basically enhance their sensory abilities, basically receiving signals that would drive anybody else insane. But it does give them rather special abilities, even for a Space Marine. So, they can detect an assassin in the breeze, even the faintest trail of fuel use somewhere else. They can feel the vibrations in the floor for approaching enemies. They're just incredible combatants.
They're just so cool. And the actual model itself here as well has loads of options as well. So it's a multi-part kit. You can have a Phoenix Power Spear, Mastercrafted Power Sword, or something called a Screamer Pistol, which is like a pistol version of a sonic weapon, which is really cool. You can have a Rupture Lash, or a Plasma Pistol as well, or a Power Fist. This thing's got loads of options, head options, icon options. There's loads of things you can do with this model. And in the game, you're talking about sort of like trying to find those big experiences. Once per battle, they can go into Euphoric Strikes mode and just try and experience everything, and they get super horrible in combat, which is just great. So wonderful miniature, great on the tabletop, but they lead the forces, and we'll start off talking about the Tormentors, and these are the sort of your sort of battle line unit with bolt guns. Tell me about these guys. Who are they?
So these guys are tactically flexible. They tend to fight at range. They see themselves as sort of exemplars of what a Space Marine should be. Like, they take a look at the loyalists and think, not even close. They've got an awful lot of pride, and they basically have a habit of assigning themselves missions and targets, and most generals kind of think of that as an acceptable cost for having them on their side. They hate performing basically what they would see as tedious tasks, so they don't like guard duty.
That's fair enough. There's the kit itself is just jam-packed full of options, different heads, different shoulder pads. We've seen a few of the options shown sneakily off on the Warhammer Community website over the last few months. But this is the final kit here in front of you. On the tabletop, there are your OC2 battle line unit for holding objectives. They can even defile objectives. Don't think about it. We're making them sticky objectives, basically. They are infiltrators. They can actually sneak forwards before the battle begins, which is great. So expect serious board control from these guys. Just great miniatures, really are. And alongside those are the combat units, the Infractors. Tell me about these guys.
These guys are all about getting up close and personal. They sort of live for the thrill of combat, and they tend to dose themselves up on toxins and stims, basically to elevate that sensation. And there's a wonderful term in the codex, which is called murderous orchestra, which is just, it's almost like killing as an art form.
I love these guys. In game terms, they are scouts. They start the game a bit further forwards, but also they're movement 7 on the battlefield. You'll find that just about everything in the army is faster than standard Space Marines are, and they have precision on their weapons as well, so enemy heroes beware. Just beautiful models, and they're so fast, you might not even need to put them in a Rhino, but you might want to. Okay, so also in the army set are 2 squads of Noise Marines. These guys are, again, beloved, and we've seen them before, but who are the Noise Marines, this special cult of the Emperor's Children?
So they're basically champions of Slaanesh that desire the experience of sound, and they want to have it to the extreme. So they've various stims, and they've had grafted organs, some of them of Xenos origin, to allow them both to hear sound better, but also to admit it. They've got various warp mutations, and they carry weaponry that can emit, say, really powerful bass tones that'll shatter bones, horrifying metallic screeches that'll make your head explode. Really, sound is their jam.
This is so Slaanesh-y. I absolutely love these guys. There are 6 models in the box, of course, the blessed number of Slaanesh. They are bigger and tougher than other Marines. Think Havoc equivalents from Chaos Space Marines. And they carry all manner of sonic weaponry. Sonic blasters are the sort of standard gun, as it were. And they also carry these blast masters, which can be tuned to different frequencies to destroy armored targets or to rupture the eardrums of numerous hordes. They're just the coolest models, led by the Disharmonist there, their leader, who's got amplifiers on his shoulders, as they all have. Just the coolest box. And there's 2 units of them in the army deal as well, so do get hold of that. But the army set isn't the only thing that's coming for the Emperor's Children. Let's have a look at some more. And of course, one of the most famous heroes for the whole Chaos faction, Lucius the Eternal. Tell me about this guy.
So Lucius the Eternal, he likes to think he's the best swordsman in existence. He's basically one of the greatest champions of the Emperor's Children, and he seeks out equal paragons amongst enemy forces. So he'll hunt down your characters, your blade masters, that sort of thing. He basically wants to test his skills. However, he has not always succeeded. But should he be struck down, if you take even a minuscule moment of satisfaction in your kill, you will turn into Lucius, and your face will be resplendent on his armor for all eternity. Now, the armor is sort of a double-edged sword in this regard, because every face on it is obviously somebody that he's not killed, and that wounds his pride more than anything, and has kind of driven him a little bit insane. He holds an awful lot of contempt for everyone and everything.
How Slaaneshi. I love this miniature. It's incredible, and you can really tell sort of the pride and arrogance really coming across on it. On the battlefield, they are an incredibly skilled fighter. They use their Blade of Lair and the Lash of Torment to subdue hordes of enemies, which is cool. He's actually a lone operative, but can still join units. But when he fights alone, he is just better, because he fights alone. Basically, don't let this fighter anywhere near your warlord, because he's going to kill it, which is great. Absolutely brilliant model. And alongside Lucius, we also have the elite unit, the Flawless Blades.
Indeed.
Tell me about these guys, Al.
So these guys are basically sort of an evolution of the Palatine Blades from the Legion of old. They are the paragons of close combat and the art with the blade. They have demonic patrons that like to keep an eye on what they're up to, and they basically need to keep impressing them with the best kills, the most dramatic flair. They dose themselves up on stims all throughout, but their incredible pride means that they never want to share their form, so they're never going to get sort of completely taken over by a demon, but they're more than happy to accept their gifts.
They're just stunning models, aren't they? Really are. 3 models in a box, loads and loads of options to customize your miniatures to make them look as prideful as you want them to. On the battlefield, they are horrifying combatants, as you can well imagine, wielding their bliss blades there with terrifying skill. Now, Alex, you talked about those demonic patrons in their lore as well, and on the battlefield, that's represented. They can call upon these dark powers to give them extra powers in combat, but at a risk, because if they don't actually get any kills, they're punished with their own deaths. So it's a big risk, but really quite very Slaaneshi and very fun too. Now, also coming for the Emperor's Children is the Lord Cacophonist, who's this incredible miniature with a huge amplifier on his back. Tell me more.
So these guys, as with the Noise Marines, are obsessed with sound, namely the extremes of sound, able to issue sonic assaults at basically any scale. They're believed by some to actually be able to cause vibrations within the warp itself.
Oh, that's cool.
So these guys are basically surgically sculpted even beyond the normal Noise Marine, and that amplifier on their back is the Doom Siren, and that basically magnifies every utterance.
Oh, it's like ASMR, but for Slaaneshi Marines. It's awesome. We've got the options on the kit. You can have Screamer pistols or a power sword there as well. He's got a rule called Obsessive Enunciation, which, if he joins Noise Marines, give them sustained hits, which is just incredible. Yeah, he can use the Doom Siren to blow people's heads up as well, which is just great. A wonderful miniature, very Slaaneshi. And if you're getting Noise Marines, get hold of one of these as well. Now, also coming for the Emperor's Children in the future is the Combat Patrol. It's called the Callous Blades inside the Codex. It's not coming quite yet, but it will be coming in the future, and it's a seriously combat-focused Combat Patrol there. So 6 of the Flawless Blades, 10 of the Infractors, and a Lord Exultant, so you can really get stuck in.
Oh, yes.
Going to be horrifying, but yeah, coming later, not quite yet. Now, of course, in the Army set is coming the Emperor's Children Codex. This one's been waited for a long time by hobbyists out there. Tell me, what's the first thing that caught your eye?
Oh, so as expected, this is a work of perfection. It's got everything from the background and the lore in it, a little bit of explanation about what Fulgrim's been up to, how the Emperor's Children, various warbands have been fractured. But my favourite thing is these little cutouts that appear on various pages, basically describing the stims, the toxins, the drugs that the Emperor's Children have been using. And one of my favourites is Scalathraxine dust, which is basically this crystalline powder that they put in their eyes that grows crystals and would drive anybody else mad. But the Emperor's Children love it.
Warhammer 40,000 is really grim. I love it. Of course, gamers can expect to find everything they usually find inside a codex, from all the army rules. They've got a new army rule called Thrill Seekers, where the army can advance or fall back and still charge, but with a few restrictions, but it's still exciting. 6 new detachments, which let you achieve various levels of perfection in there. And we've got lots of models. All the models we've seen are included, of course, all the rules in there, as well as other models also available right now. So if you wanted to start your forces right now to get ready for this, you could paint some Terminators, a Helldrake, a Demon Prince, Rhinos, Land Raiders, Spawn are in there, Mauler Fiends too. And what's really exciting is the Slaneshi Demons are included in the book as well.
So if you wanted a Fiend or a Greater Demon of Slanesh, this is your opportunity.
Absolutely. You can include your Slaneshi Demons alongside your Emperor's Children on the tabletop, which is just great. So, Keeper of Secrets running around alongside Fulgrim would be a terrifying prospect to face. We've got the Crusade rules in there as well. And inside the Crusade, you're going to love this. The idea here is that they're on a sort of journey to try and find exotic and rare ingredients to mix up strange elixirs, which will then have horrifying results for the combatants as well.
Cool.
Just really cool. And, of course, the usual amount of new artwork. Great miniature shots in there as well. It's an absolute must-get for Emperor's Children fans. Oh, I'm so excited for these guys, even though they hurt my Primarch.
So we've seen some fantastic stuff there from Age of Sigmar. We've seen the High Elf Realms from the Old World, and ending with those Emperor's Children. It's been fantastic.
It's been some great, and Necromunda 2, of course, you saw in there as well. Those Black Library miniatures were so good too. Yeah, it's been a really great preview, man.
Yep. Now, thank you everybody for watching. If you're over at LVO, I hope you're having a fantastic time. If you want more details on all of these and some of the things that we've not shown off, head over to the Warhammer community website. Remember to follow us on Facebook, X, YouTube, and Instagram. And thank you for joining me, Nick.
Thank you for joining me, man.
Thank you, everybody at home. See ya.